Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4's World Ablaze mod. And of course, we're playing as Germany. Couple of things. I've been messing around with the sound settings, so I should be sounding different. Give me whatever feedback. Tell me it's good. Tell me it's terrible. Tell me why it's good, why it's terrible, or something in between. Love any actual feedback you can give me on that. That'd be great. Right. Also, there has been a minor update to the mod from when we were last playing this, from I think something like 7.6.3 to 7.6.6 or something. So I think it's compatible. We will hope it is. Any incompatibilities are minor and unnoticed and don't affect much of anything. Right. Okay. So I'm going to choose not to build what they're calling the Glendaren line. And the Germans did expand the West Wall prior to the start of the war, all the way basically up to here, all along here. We're hoping that when we start the war with Poland, we'll just be facing along the French part of the wall here. And once we go to war with the Low Countries, we'll just be on the offensive and not need a defensive wall there. Now, I know we're going to need more iron, so we're going to do that for 30 days to increase our iron output. And we're also, because we're going to be starting the war a bit late, I think we have the 90 days to recruit 10 more divisions. So we're going to do that. Intelligence agencies. I'm not really okay. Infiltrate civilian. Prepared, ready to launch. I don't know. Let's get us anything. We don't have the two. Oh, we do have a couple other spies here. Do I want to pull them off their current jobs? No. No, thank you. Not really worth it, in my opinion. It may be, though. We're also going to continue autarky here. I think this is a good, because eventually we're going to need it to go down here anyways. The other two I want to do are over here, but we're going to... Now, actually, I'm going to change this up. We're going to leave this alone for that. No, we're going to do this first. All right. And okay. We are in 39, but we are very close to 40. We're going to go with this because it's going to be 240 days. We are currently full of our reserve of our ability to fill up our reserve for fuel. But we're going to eventually here start using a whole lot more fuel on the one hand. And yes, it would be good to build more fuel silos, but is it more important to build some anti-aircraft batteries or other things? As you know, it comes down to choices. And really, before we get heading into any real war, we're going to look at getting some submarines and whatnot organized for naval missions. Yeah, I was expecting this, and I was wondering what this was causing. Okay, this time it's just 17 more steel. And here it is the Kingdom of Italy requesting a bunch more of our steel. So that is why I got a lot more iron coming in, because I knew that was going to happen. As it did it. Okay, reactivate core steel mill here to try to alleviate the deficiency, because that really just the Panay incident, it really rips into our needs for steel. Okay, well, yes, we have the Emile model, specifically the E4. Now, sometimes I get real, seeing if there's any other outdated stuff, real, I don't know, disappointed would be the word, when I look at the actual stats of some of these things. I'm just going to trust that this is within the, variables of the game, whatever, whatever they mean, air superiority, blah, 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 air defense, air attack. This represents the Emile model, which was sort of I think the basic sort of standard at the start of the war. Not that they didn't have older models still in use. I think they did. So yeah, we're not even producing these because we don't have enough steel for this. Now we're going to reactivate core steel mill here. I'd rather get this going and deal with some iron imports than Italy is upping its steel grab for me. Okay, well, not as bad as it was, but it also needs more aluminum, it looks like. Okay, just a tiny bit, and tungsten. Well, let's go back to this, and then let's jump back over here because I'm looking here, especially when we grab up all those reserve divisions and need to equip them, artillery and anti-air. It's the one anti-air we're not using. I don't know how best to use it. Trains, we need more trains. See, that's what we need to do, is trains. We'll do all 3 of those once we can. Maintenance company improved. Signals. Those who've watched me for some time know I'm an infrastructure player. Improved fire control system. That's only 218 days. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to get that going. Always do things that are going to improve last. You do those first. Okay, doctrines available. Air doctrine. Aces in schools. We're going to do aces and wings. Do we want to do this? I'm going to save up more air experience. And land doctrine, no real bonus. Free bonuses kind of thing. There, okay, we're going to let that go. We are still, it's over here, yeah. Reactivate core steel mill. Okay, it looks like, because if we had, unlimited amount, because to some functionality level, we have near unlimited amounts of coal, and we should not be importing any. No, good. Then we would want to activate all steel mills, but we're importing our iron, some of it, considerably amount. We can see here. Now tungsten, we are now to here. Okay, let's grab up one more from Portugal. There we go. We may have to suffer with a deficit of tungsten once the war starts, but we don't need to suffer with it now. Okay. New rifles researched. Very good. A little bit ahead. 200. Man, that's tempting. Yeah, let's do mines. We're gonna hopefully sea mine up a bunch of areas. Okay, trade with Venezuela terminated. Continuing autarky. Right. I knew that was a theoretical possibility. I didn't know for sure it was going to happen with Venezuela. All right, now we're going to come over here. Großraumwirtschaft. We're going to do that. Now, all right. Well, let's take a look at our air defense zones. Pretty good. Pretty good. Not great or anything, but pretty good where we could build. Our radar stations, we could go much further out. Get a better look into the sea. Because, you know, eventually I think we'll build some out here. I think we will increase this one here. And hopefully, because I think this is like our main supply source out here, hopefully that's pretty good. We're going to have to work on railway building, which Germany did once they got Poland back. Hopefully this will be fine enough as it is. There, okay. Just looking at both how many free slots we have and some of these with 100% or 90% are where we're going to do sort of the best building. Well, this, again, we can look over here. This is protected by AA guns, so yeah, let's do that. And now, one thing, a couple of people, and hey, you know, I love all of your posts, all of your comments, even when you're criticizing me, particularly if you're correcting me and I think you're right, because I do want corrections, because I'm going off of, you know, memory a lot of times. But, you know, just say hi. I mean, that really helps if you just say hi in your post. So, hey, everyone who's made it this far in the video, please just say hi, hello, how you doing, whatever. Okay. Couple of comments about my talking about Germany and industry here, and here as to concentrated, balanced, and dispersed industry. And they were saying, oh, Germany has concentrated industry. It was the most industrial developed nation, and it was. But that's not, as my understanding of how Hearts of Iron 4 uses the term, and I don't know specifically with Uncharted in the mod, but he's called this Germany has concentrated industry. My understanding, talking to the developer of the game, Germany should have dispersed industry. as the way they used it and talked about it, as opposed to concentrated industry. Here's what they're talking about with this, and it isn't how many factories there are. And let me, again, I want to look at here. Production efficiency retention plus 5%. Max production efficiency retention negative 5%. So when you're switching around between different things. Okay. So I think Uncharted is wrong on having this being a concentrated industry for several points. And all of this, of course, these labels are that are used in this game are interpretations of reality into a game mode. Germany, on 2 accounts, definitely, as far as I know, and again, correct me if you think you can, would be a dispersed industry, where America is primarily a concentrated industry. And this is the way it's looked at for 2 things, 2 elements. One, the sort of simplest set to explain is, with the Americans, they would, if you needed a screw, a particular type of screw that goes into a particular type of thing, whether it could be a weapon, it could be another machine, that makes weapons, whatever. You need, this screw. They would turn on that machine to make that screw, and that machine would only make that screw in the American Industrial Plan for the war until they got to the point that they could not conceive of ever needing any more of those screws. So if it was a common, a screw that was commonly used in many different things, well, they just made that one machine sat there at the start of the war and to the end of the war. All it did was make that one type of screw. Didn't do any different types of screw. It made that one type of screw. They turned that machine on, and potentially it got to about 24/7 because they could run it, have 3 work shifts in a day, run it 7 days a week. That machine would only take a pause, maybe for maintenance or switching out operators. And that machine would make that screw until the end of the war, or until they had such a stockpile of them. And because maybe it's a special screw for a special gun that then becomes no longer produced, and they have so many of these screws that they can't conceive of needing that many replacement screws. Then they stop making that screw with that machine and maybe rejiggered it a bit to make a different screw for a different purpose. Okay, that is one element of American production. German production would be, let's see, in the next 6 months, we're going to need 10,000 of these screws. So they would have their machine, and they would sit there and they would set the machine up to make these particular screws. And they would crank out 10,000 of them. Then they go, okay, we got the 10,000 done. What next? Oh, okay, we need 10,000 of a different type of screw. Okay, rejigger that machine. Now, it may just take an hour. It may just take a day. It may take a week. It depends on the machine tool. And I mean, we're just talking about switching between different types of screw production, so probably not much time. But sometimes you might take it from making screws to making nuts or whatever, and it takes a time to reset the screw up. So the Germans would switch that over to what the next priority was. And so the Germans were constantly resetting their machine tools to produce what they felt they needed for a particular amount of time in the head. Because, hey, in 6 months, they may be ordering an entirely new tank or an entirely new anti-aircraft gun, and we don't need a whole lot of the extra of whatever. So why overproduce? Let's be efficient in our use of resources as opposed to efficiency in use of production. America was not so much worried about resources. Germany was. So the Germans were constantly, with their machine tools, switching production modes. I will say there is one exception to this that I know of any scale in Germany, and that's the Reichsbahn, the Kriegs locomotive, the war locomotive. They set on one model. The guy in charge of it did the American plan, set up one model of railway locomotive, and he got that in production, and he did not change a thing, not an improvement, not a single change in production through to the end of the war for making these locomotives. Sure, Germany ran every single locomotive it could get its hands on, but it produced one type of locomotive out of the factories that produced these locomotives. It was the war locomotive. It was standardized. They didn't tinker with it. He didn't allow any tinkering. It was good enough. It was effective enough, which is not what, you can talk to my German friends, that's not the way they think. They think improved, better design, better working. No, this was just good enough. It worked. And they produced the Kriegs locomotive, the war locomotive, I think I have the name right, throughout the whole war. That's the only thing that they didn't constantly mess with in production through the war. That's one element of concentrated production. The other element within between dispersed and concentrated, and I talked to the game developers as these things were being developed and thought about, so that's why I know some of their thinking. The other element is not, again, how industrially developed Germany is. It's, let's just say you have a tank factory up here in Berlin. Well, that tank factory, let's rename it slightly. It's a tank assembly point. And they very well may be welding the holes together, they're welding the armor plates together, because Germany primarily used welded armor plate construction. They're welding the holes together, certainly, that's coming down the factory line. They're welding it. And then after they've done, so that is production elements, but they're not making the steel in that factory. They may be making the steel down here in the Ruhr somewhere and putting it on a train and sending it to Berlin. And in a different factory, maybe over in Magdeburg, I don't know, I'm just using city names here, they're producing tank barrels. And down here in Leipzig, they're producing tank tracks. And over here in Kotzbus, they're producing optics. And down here in Dresden, they're producing tank engines for this particular model of tank. This is a dispersed industrial plan with shipping in engines, optics, gun barrels, tracks. And now these may be all made somewhere in Berlin, would be the other option, but in different factories, okay? Dispersed the factories. They may be. Now, something like optics is sort of a specialized category, so you probably wouldn't do this. But, and I do know that the Germans did a lot of this dispersed production and then assemble them in an assembly point. I mean, there may be manufacturing, like I'm saying, manufacturing the tank holes, welding the armor plates together and building, in essence, the frame of the tank. And then you're putting all of the other manufactured pieces together on it. Where the Americans and the Soviets, because they were set up by I forget his name, an American automobile industry guy, try to, as much as practical, not necessarily possible, but as much as practical, to do all of that work in the same factory complex. Yes, we know the famous, I think it was the Schweinfurt. Where's Schweinfurt? There's Erfurt. Schweinfurt's somewhere in here. Ball bearing raid that they were trying to kill the ball bearing factories. Sure, there very well may be something like ball bearings or whatever, that are dispersed in a different location. But the American concentrated industry is trying to not use subcontractors, potentially other companies or sub-companies within it that make different components of it. They're trying to make as much of the tank as practical in one location. So you'll have one building they're building, next one building they're making artillery barrels, because they get in the blanks of the steel. You got to do all of the milling on them. In another barrel, are building next to it. They're doing tank tracks, and another building they're doing the engines and whatever. They're trying to do all of the manufacture production as centrally located as possible, or as, let me rephrase that, as practical, and assemble right there. So it is a concentrated industry as opposed to a dispersed industry. It is not talking about how industrialized the nation is. Britain is another case, as my understanding by these definitions, would be considered a dispersed industry nation. So concentrated industry allows, within this game as it's defined, allows once you turn a production on, producing these armored cars, you'll be able to produce them quicker and cheaper. But it'll take a little bit longer to work your way up this work up the efficiency bar, but it will be more efficient once you get there. Concentrated industry will allow you to be more efficient. With dispersed industry, you will be able to, it will be slower to work your way up, but if you're switching to, say, a different model of vehicle, whether it's just a different model of a 222, like they do in this game, or switching from 222s to making trucks, it's going to retain more efficiency. The efficiency isn't going to drop down as hard. And part of the thinking behind this is with the American style concentrated industry. When you're making that one nut, the machinist who works those machines, the person who operates this is before automated systems that, computer controlled. You need a human working there. They can be brought off the street, man or woman, and taught how to make that one screw expertly. Everything else is a fucking mystery in that factory. They only know that one job. They can be taught that one job. Once they know that one job, they know that one job inside and out. They can do it as good as any person on the planet, that one job. Where a German machine toolist, he knows how to, you want me to reset it from this machine from making screws to making nuts? No problem, sir. I know how to do that just fine. I'm an expert machinist. I can machine anything you need. So the German machinists were generally better machinists and may be able to make the nut as efficiently, or the screw as efficiently as an American machinist. But he can also make a nut, he can make a washer, he can make whatever it is equally efficiently. That takes longer to train up. But it is infinitely easier to switch them around. So if somebody knows how to make castings for a certain type of wheel, and going to, like a truck wheel, and going to switch them over to make castings for a tank wheel, no problem. They know castings. They make castings. But somebody rapidly trained in the American system, they know how to make truck wheel castings. You've got to retrain them, whatever that may mean, to make tank wheel castings. So you have to, switching between different manufacturing process is within the game definition of how it uses, is harder because of the training levels and setups needed for concentrated industry versus dispersed industry. And so that's why the retention as well as is different for switching. So if you're going to switch, if we're going to switch and make Panzerjägers for, 3 months, 6 months, and then we're going to switch over to Bisons, which are the same hull, but just the big 150 millimeter infantry Geschütz, schwer infantry Geschütz, or heavy infantry gun. That's no problem. You're switching over, a little bit of efficiency drop down, no problem. You're still mostly doing the same thing, especially if you're talking about a dispersed industry setup within the game it's designed, where concentrated, it's going to be more of a problem. And again, the more radical the change, the bigger the problem. The other element is, if you've concentrated the production of a tank or aircraft or whatever in one, not necessarily the exact same building, but in a building complex, and then you fly bombers over it, which are very inaccurate bombing, as we know of World War II, fly bombers over it and drop bombs on it, you can shut all that down effectively. Where, if it's a dispersed industry, you drop bombs over it, you've damaged, or maybe destroyed, but damaged the assembly element for the whatever model of tank. Okay, well, let's just switch it over to here, and the guys who making the gun barrels over here, and the guys making the tracks over here, instead of putting them on trains to Berlin, they go on trains over here to Kirsten or some other location. So yes, it damages some of the, because they're also welding the holes and whatnot. It damages some of the production equipment to move things around and make tanks. But it doesn't, that single bombing raid doesn't completely, if it hits the factory correctly enough, because sometimes they miss the whole damn city, but depending on, not saying so much Berlin, but, Potsdam or some other city, they talk about bombing deception missions some other time. But if it's, if they're looking around, if it's all dispersed, each bombing mission, the whole factory setup is less liable for damage. So my understanding, and again from the game developers, Germany by definition was sort of the looking at it as the optimum, if you will, or the model used for the definition of dispersed industry, and America was used as the model for concentrated industry. And just about everybody else out there, because those were the two options in the base game, were either more like one or more like the other in their industrial production style and setup, not levels of production. So Germany should definitely be, by the game's definition, dispersed industry. So it would, let's see, okay, so we're at 100% efficiency, it looks like, for our Karabiner 98 Kurz and Maschinenpistole 35, which is the Austrian machine pistol, as far as I understand. The MP34, MP35 at both went under both labels. We're going to switch over to same rifle. Well, now this is saying a MP40, which is the stamped version of the gun. There had been, or mostly stamped, or more stamped. The earlier version had been the MP38, which was more than, at least than the MP40, the machined version. So maybe a bit heavier. I don't know the weights of the two guns. Generally, machined weapons are generally heavier than stamped weapons. It's a generality kind of thing, but also a lot cheap, or a lot easier to make. The MP35, which is what I think they're, because it went under a couple different sales names for that. Like I say, MP34 and MP35 is a beautiful machine gun, highly, or submachine gun, but highly machined, wonderful thing. I have one. Now it's been cut. It's not, the receiver's been cut. It's not anywhere near shootable. So it is a non-firing gun, completely deactivated. But it's a beautiful work of machining that takes a lot. The MP40 comparatively is much cruder. Much cruder. No, I don't have an MP40 in any format. I had a plastic one as a kid, or early, teenagers, 13, 14 or something. I had a plastic MP40. But yeah, but not like a real one, like I do have an MP35 or MP34, however you want to define it. But so we will see. Okay, so a minor hit, though I would, now I don't know, and again, I don't know if I should look into it to see if production efficiency, which should be a lot better for that than the MP35, which is the only change we're seeing supposedly there in equipment manufacture. Germany, to the best of my knowledge, the Heers, the army, never used the MP35 or MP40, to the best of my knowledge. And that's maybe never would be harsh. Did not would be maybe a better. Use the MP35 or 40. They were, the ones that existed were taken in from the Austrian army. They did, I believe, continue to produce small batches, but most of those batches, I think, went to various SS elements, and as the Waffen SS is being formed, given over to them. And I mostly have seen photos of the MP35 and MP40 used like in police hands and other sorts of internal or other security elements. But when I say never, I don't think it was ever a standardized weapon within the German army. They were either using MP28s, which is just a somewhat updated MP18, basically going from the cool looking but actually stupid functioning Luger drum magazine of World War I for the artillery Luger over to a straight magazine, doing that, and then not really so much some Irma thingy, and then going into the MP38. Okay, just to change the map here, which is fine. I'm just not sure. I want to make sure the whole border is at least lined with some units. And I think we will send this other unit here just to give a little more reinforcements to East Prussia. We probably have enough to hold against whatever Poles might do, but I do see they have a fortified line there of defense. Though I do notice there's no fortification here. Hey, Uncharted, if you ever do watch these videos, why are there no fortifications around here? There were both some built well before 1936, so should be there at start, and Germany through the post 1936 did increase fortifications in the east. Not so much, I don't think, in Prussia, but did around here. If you're doing this stuff for the Poles, give the Germans their fortification. Okay, which, I hate these colors. Do I say that enough? And we'll give you to that too. There we go. Just because I think this guy here, yes, up to 12 is his maximum command. Now, yeah, he can take an extra division. Yeah. Click, there we go. Got two there. Two to sort of push there. Oh, we'll send them down to here. We could go to extensive conscription, which would not be a bad thing right now. Weekly war support would be down, but we have lots of war support, and has Pride of Fleet and Wilhelm Flick. Probably counteract any of the negative, and it would go from 2.5% to 4%. Training time would go from +10 to +20%. So yeah, I think we will do that, so that because we're less than 1 million. manpower, which may seem like a lot, but the war is going to eat that up. And we don't want it to get too low at any one time. Oh shit, we need a lot more steel. Who's using up my steel now? Italy more and more and more. Okay, well, I wish I could tell Italy to fuck off with that, but okay, that hopefully reduced our, again, economic fatigue, which I think is way too much going on. This, oh, well, this is what I was sort of heading for with that. Okay, November 39, yeah. We've got enough time to do this, because we're still got to get through the winter here before it gets too cold, so yeah. Lots of infrastructure improvements, as well as just 2% decrease in the fatigue, but still anything is good. I'm going to push ahead with this, since we have the bonus of 50%. Again, I am not looking at the details, but damn, Gewehr 41. That would be a really nice improvement to have it, if it's anything as effective as reality. Okay, we can do at least one more. Let's see here. Okay, negative 26%, and or not percent, but 26. Kingdom of Greece, Nationalist Spain. Let's see if we can up that just a little bit more. Okay, now we're only negative. Assassination of Leon Trotsky with an ice pick. Okay, let's see. Oh, they're not sending us everything they promised to. Okay, well, let's grab another one up from Sweden. Make up for that loss. Well, let's just go back down to 50. If you're not going to give us, I don't need to give you an extra factory. Okay, well, now we're back to a positive here by a lot. Well, Italy's keep jiggering its numbers around, so I won't go down below that. Okay, another 3 divisions. Now this, okay, he is full. List is full. He, whoever, Falkenhorst, he's not, but he's way up in the north. Okay, he's there. So what we're gonna do here is let's grab this division and give it to him. That way we have a more unified command for the Netherlands, and will allow us to put one more division here. Okay, let's just give them to him. Oh no, click that way. But we're going to move one division to just right here, and the other division over to here, just as a reserve if the French get a little pushy. Auxiliary Autobahn, very Autobahn, yeah. Okay, we don't really have, well, that coming maybe yet for exploiting our conquered regions. We don't have that. Creation of the Panzer Troop in 21 days. Take tank doctrines. Do we have any of these sort of... I've mostly ignored Pioneer tank. Yeah, I've mostly ignored and failed on a lot of those, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like a lot of those things. Okay, Ribbentrop. Okay, it doesn't disappear after 1940 or something, but okay, we'll do that now. We're going to wait a few more days for this technology here. We're not producing enough trains, I believe. Oh, what mo? Better flak guns. Okay, well, let's take the hit now. Flak 38 instead of flak 30. Sometimes, like now, we've been sort of storing up research time, jumping ahead. Had we spent it before 1940, some of it would be spent at a deficit, if you will, as opposed to doing it, you know, if I did it immediately, like if I, you know, did it, and this had, you know, even just 20 days or something in 39, that would not be as efficient. So it's better to store it up and then click it now. Now, if it's going to be in a deficit anyways, it does sort of matter, but not as big. I don't think. Yeah, it does, but it goes, yeah. Okay. All right. Well. Oh, I want the Martyr 2 or anything. That's years away, I know. No, I don't have a great plan for some of this. Let's look at aircraft here. Okay, 1940. So we're gonna, let's do the 110C4 instead of the B1. I think that would be a decent improvement. Hopefully one that doesn't use too many days or too much inefficiencies. All right. still, I fell behind on train production. You should not do that. As we get that in, we'll, because our stockpiles are slightly low. See, we see trains needed, which is 354, trains in stockpile 349, and we'll be losing some once the war starts. So we're just not keeping up. We're gonna, even with our current, with the Trop Molotov pact, very good. We're not going to do Danziger War yet. Okay. We need to wait to probably April or March. Reestablish Jaeger training. Mountaineers, that would be good. Okay, one of the following, so we could do that. Just looking post. Okay, score Thirsch. We're not planning on losing this, are we? No. General Inspector of the Panzer Troop. Production cost on tank equipment, nice. We could either do a Jaeger not program. Air designs, okay. Tank equipment, I probably, well, or I don't know. We'll see this, and Rüstung Stab Committee, overmobilized industry which grants. A lot of things, but civilian factory construction speed really badly. Aha. Yeah, that looks fun. We'll make sure our artillery is the best artillery. Okay, Moscow signs the pact. Our new Bolshevik allies. See, National Socialism and International Socialism can get along just fine, can't we? We're all good buds here, right, guys? 10 reserves, excellent. Okay, that's one of the things we were going through. Let's move you up to, here, I think. Alright, let's see. We're not going to give Himmler high command. Well, let's look at trade. So our iron trade with nationalist Spain will for a while be cut off, and I'm not sure about the Greek. Probably the Greek would be cut off. So let's do this. It will be for 60 days, 10 civilian factories, which is painful, but let's just do that. Get that done. Get that done. Okay, now out here. He can handle 2 more divisions. He can't. Where? Okay, where are you? You're. Oh, you're not there. Oh, you're here. Okay, Reich now. Yeah, let's give you the Reich now. We'll move you to there. Let's reduce the supply strain on that one particular province. Oh, yeah, that's good, yeah. We have all those panzers sitting there. As well. So let's take a look at our supply. Well, that's just for the units. We're clicked on there, I believe, but we're doing okay. It looks like no major dangers of not supplying our units. Now this is just the generic fleet that everything's been dumped into. We've got a lot of submarines. Type 9s. Cruiser submarines. Oh, I was thinking S. Coastal. Okay, so these are just sort of the... Okay. Okay. Type 2 class. Thought there was a bunch more. There's only 5. Oh, these are okay. These are the type 2. Those are the type 7s. Okay, so we got some type 2s here. They're in their own group. Either I don't understand this well enough, or it just doesn't work the way I want it to work. I want to assign like these guys to operate here and different unit to operate here, and you know, it just different things. So okay, you're going to come, I think, well, let's move you to Seton. That way we're not going to run supplies or need our supplies going through there. Now back over here, let's grab open new task for cancel. Oh, that's not what I wanted. No, what did I do? See, I don't. No, I don't want to reinforce here. Open task force. Okay. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, I just don't know what I'm doing here. I will reset all requirements to 0. There we go. I think that's what. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Just clicking on the wrong bits and pieces. I thought open task force comp editor. Okay, task force. I want to create a new task force. Okay, create. There we are. That's what I want to do. And let's go up to okay, well, all cruiser submarines, that works. Well, I just got all submarines. Okay, well, okay, create a new task force. These are all, no, these aren't all. I want the type 7s. Oh, no. Okay, well, maybe here we'll just submarines, right? There we go. There we go. See, again, we're gonna, these are the type 7s. We're gonna move them over here just so they're in a different port so I can handle them better. Okay, and here. Now we're gonna create some smaller forces. Okay, so let's split this in half. And then let's select this and split this in half. There we go. And select this and split this in half. Okay, so 25 per unit here. Okay, let those guys leave port, go somewhere else. Okay, this task force here. Let's see if we can find a suitable commander for that. We don't have many. That's what I was sort of afraid of. Superior tactician. Okay, yes, donuts here. So he'll go there. And when we get ready, we'll put these guys out. These should have the longer ranges. The shorter ranges we can operate in and around places. I think here we're also going to split these guys in half too. Or as close. Now over here we have, okay, some frigates, which the Germans called them gunboats or something. I don't know. No, where's there. Merge task forces. Okay, so now we have the Schleswig Holstein and the Schlesien. Old coastal battleships, or pre-dreadnought battleships, or whatever you want to call it, with these, I forget the German designation for them, but these light vessels here that let me, okay, they do have, and this is what I wanted to see, they do have some sub detection with some depth charges. Good. So that means these vessels won't be entirely just, you know, vulnerable to submarines. I'm thinking, looking here. Okay, see, I want to find all of the, I've been building some, and I think they're here. Let's select this. Yeah, we're looking at the Wormse class, because these are our mine layers. They're a light cruiser that is fairly cheap. We've been building the hell out of them. Well, at least building this many of them. So I think it's going to be all 6 of these. Yeah, all light cruisers. Let's head them over to heal here, and okay, those and these. So let's. What else do we have here? We have oh, these submarines. Let's get these submarines. We'll send them over to Seton as well. These we will put together as. What are we? Okay. Right, cruisers. Okay, we're but I don't want them as part of this fleet. Well, maybe when I brought them together, that. Here, okay. All light cruisers. There we are. New task force. Oh, damn it! Because I don't want these other guys out operating when I'm doing mine laying. Are all these might be equally effed up? No, those are good. I think we'll unify them because they're all going to be pretty early models. Oh, hell. This is what I just, okay. No. Okay, create a new task force. All light cruisers right there. But I just did this. Why are we still, maybe it's down here that I need to move this. Okay, no. German Reich Task Force 1. Right, well, those are the other light cruisers. Why do they have to make this so hard? Yeah, there's probably just one of these buttons here, but see, set to select. No, I don't want it as reserved. Don't want to do it in half. Create a new, but I want a new fleet. Delete task force. Okay, we're deleting. No, cancel that. I don't want to destroy all these vessels either. Well, how the fuck do I do this? Because I don't want all of these damn things here. Yes, this is this flotilla. Well, but is it this is something new. I want new theater here. There we go. That got it. That got it. Okay, good. So I don't want that part of what they're doing. Because if I'm going to send these guys out to mine lay, I want them to do it on their own. I don't want them to be part of some other group. Because I don't want my big battleships going out and getting shot up while I'm just sending out cruisers. Oh, we're on the Navy screen here. That's okay. I know this is becoming an okay. Right, that's the Haute Sea Float. And I want to click here, but I want to deselect, deselect, deselect. Oh, well, these are all still in the... No, these are... Yeah, okay, there's just one submarine showing up here. Okay, that's because this is being built. That was added there, because this is the current dumping of the current production here. So, let's see, can I select both of these? I'm going to deselect those. And we're going to merge these. So we're going to take all cruisers, submarines, and we're going to select them and move to this theater here, but it's a separate thing. There we go. Probably if I understood this, this would all be cool and all be good. Okay, these are the Emden class. Now we're going to combine these. So that hopefully with the Scharnhorst, Gneisenauer, Admiral Hipper, Graf Spee, the Admiral Scheer, and the Deutschland, along with the Emden class, and the Z whatever class, various destroyers, we have a decent fleet. Again, we're going to try, well, I don't know, again, we're going to try to avoid contact, where this is my mine laying fleet, and the rest are of course submarines, and this is my sort of Baltic control fleet here. Well, I think we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you all who made it this far. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you next time for more fun and games playing World War II.